Hey, I'm AJ,
I'm Zach.
and this is Fresh Tactics.
Hey guys, so today we're going to cover something that anybody that works with us, like in our mentor group, or has come to do an internship with us, or hell, even attended one of our seminars or courses before, will have heard this particular line dropped before. And it doesn't just only apply to coaching per se. It can apply to a lot of other stuff. So if you're an athlete, don't think that this one's not going to somehow find its way to you. Like I find out most of the things on the floor. When I mean the floor, I talk about like out on the floor, like the training area. I kind of reapply to everybody's aspects of life. Like you can pull stuff from everything. But this one, what we're going to talk about is finding your coaching identity. Like that's a big one. And AJ is going to actually have some real good firsthand stories for this because she's an owner at Hinge now. She's like a main pillar of Kettlebell RX. She's got a whole bunch of accolades to her name, but when she came down here, she was, this girl from Canada that was coming down to intern at my gym. If you guys are
fairly green coach too.
Yeah. Well, and not to be snob, like pretty much anybody that comes in here, I look at as a green coach. I'm not being a snob, but that's the thing too. If anyone's coming in here to learn, like they're coming in the gym to learn, or coming to a course to learn, you're coming to learn, which means you don't know what you're doing, which means you're green. Like I go out and seek to put myself in learning roles a lot, just to fine tune my ability to communicate to people when they're newer.
Beginner's mind and all that.
Beginner's mind, yeah. But when we're talking with coaches and they come to us and they're interning, they want to open up their own gym. They want to be a head coach. They want to be personal trainer. They want to be the best at what they want to do.
It reminds me of the Pokemon theme song.
Wow.
I want to be the best that no one ever was.
Hopefully Kevin can click to Pokemon actually
Pikachu.
the thing going as you were singing. You could just put that into the video. It'd be awesome.
Shout out to all you millennials out there.
I'm asking a lot there. But coaching identity is something huge that we talk about with our interns too, because some of them will come in and they're fantastic. They know what they're doing. Some of them spent years maybe in school or in other gyms learning how to do stuff, but they can't tie it together. Or when they have tried, they have some shortcoming and they find that they have themselves lacking somewhere. And they're like, I need some guidance. I need some mentorship. And
I need help.
Yeah, and that's where we come in. And when we start talking with them, start breaking it down, they're like, I have an issue teaching blank, or I have an issue programming. And I'm like, I think the issue is you. Yeah.
Zach does not pull any punches when he's talking to his interns, for sure.
No, I don't. Well, and it's because Jeff doesn't pull any punches. Like, Martone.
Oh, yeah, Jeff just pushed you in the deep end. All right, this is what you're teaching today. Go for it. Don't fuck it up.
And he just has a very matter-of-fact way of saying, I fucked something up. He'd be like, yeah. I'm like, how'd that go, Jeff? He's like, oh, it's good, but you did this wrong, but the rest is cool. And I'm just like, oh, shit.
Let me tell you all, there's nothing more terrifying than getting done with a seminar and then getting in the car with Zach, because he doesn't want to talk about it right away. He wants to talk about where we're going to stop for Chex Mix and Gardettos and whether we are going to get coffee or not, or if the gas station will be sufficient. And you're just waiting because you know what you fucked up.
Yeah. Well, part of that too is I have a blessing and a curse. For those of you who don't know about this, know this about me. I'm very open about it, but I have BPD.
Which is borderline personality disorder, for those of you not up on the abbreviations and the lingo.
Yes. So I'm very empathetic. I can tie into people. I can read their body language very, very well. I know
disturbingly well.
Yeah,
one might say.
I know when someone knows they fucked up too. I can tell. And also when things go wrong too, I have to take a step back and gather my thoughts and things like that, so I don't speak out of turn, because harsh is fine. Tough is fine. Being an asshole just to be an asshole is not fine. So I have to go back and go through things I'm going to say in my head before I just come across as an asshole, because I'm reading someone's body language that they're upset that they fucked up, and then it's like making me, I'm like, well, I should probably be upset about this. And there's a totally different cast that we'll go through on that, guys. I like to try and make light of something that's hard to deal with. But I say it's a blessing and a curse because it does allow me to tie in and read people really well, like really well. I spent my whole life like learning to read people from
So
it.
much so that I feel like sometimes you don't even know how. Like sometimes I remind you like how unique that is that you can just like read people off the bat.
Well, and
And you call things like weeks or months out. You're like, oh, so and so is going to make this decision, and then they do, and it's weird.
you read it. But the thing behind that is, and I used to just think it was something that made me a good coach before I realized it was something that was actually a shortcoming of mine that I was attaching to other people's emotions more so.
I thought it was awesome before I realized it sucked.
Yeah, so let's talk about how I took that that gift I have. I don't like to say it's like a weakness or anything like that. Like I'm mutant and proud. I would get on the helicopter with Magneto out, son. Like not going with Xavier. Like that's an X-Men reference, guys. I would not be on the X-Men. I would be the Brotherhood of the Mutants 100%. 100%. Mutant and proud. Anyways, that's got nothing to do with coaching identity.
Well, that has to do with your coaching identity.
You know what? Actually, it's not true. It does have something to do with coaching identity. And the reason it does have something to do with coaching identity is because you need to learn how to read people. It's super important. Mm-hmm. And like...
Probably the most important, other than establishing trust.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes hand in hand with establishing trust because if you can't read people, you're not going to guess. You're not going to guess or kind of like estimate what to say, right? And then you're never going to build that trust.
Well, and there's so many people out there now, and they're good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking anybody when I'm about to say this. There's a lot of people out there now that are trying to be coaches, and they're seeing a market for it, and they're like, what's next in my evolution as like a trainer or a coach?
Go back and listen to our Are You a Street Level Coach episode, which is episode 8.
8. We'll go with that.
8, probably 8.
But what I'm getting with is there's people that are like, hey, we're going to coach the coaches, we're going to do all that stuff. But what they start missing is there's a lot of this like constant regurgitated information from people. They're like, you know, this is the best time of their day and da-da-da. And this is all absolutely true. Absolutely 100% true. And they're like, you know, like, don't bring your stuff in. And like, it's so interesting that the way people are trying to compartmentalize the coaches as well. If you're a coach and you're working 2 to 3 classes a day, I don't know what the fuck you're doing with the rest of your time. Maybe if you're an owner and you're running a gym, that's fine. But like, then you're gonna have a second job, probably. Unless you're making fucking buku bucks like every class.
Or you're independently wealthy, in which case, good for you.
Or it's
make
a side gig, like if you're trying
206 South.
Yeah, please. Plug for 206 South. Trying to get these kids a van, son.
We got a nonprofit you should look into.
Yeah. But what I mean is like the compartmentalizing the coaching, like you don't bring your shit onto the floor, but you can't say that like when you're having issues or realizing you have shortcomings in the way you speak with people isn't something that you can learn to overcome or like use to your advantage. Like hey, yeah, like maybe you have an athlete that's having a bad day. They come in, like people have bad days. Like they come in, they leave.
Breaking news. Yeah. Other people have bad days too.
Yeah. And here's the thing about this, like, and every coach that's listening to this or owner is going to laugh because they're going to know what I'm talking about. It's like when people come in that are sick and you're like, don't come into the gym sick. Don't do it. And people say, I am going to sweat it out, which encourages you mean you're going to leave that shit there. I'm going to leave this fucking disease and it's going to get everybody else sick. All right. Some people are coming to get rid of their emotional baggage and you're going to learn to pick it up. And I'm like, man, that was a real hard thing for me in my early inception of a coach when I was really started working the group classes and becoming more of a guiding rod for culture and community in my gym.
Ambassador to your community.
Exactly. But people would come in and they would drop their emotional shit.
And you would pick it up because you have a personality disorder that
Well, and I'm just like, okay,
makes you want to do that.
Yeah, let's figure this out. You know, you're upset. I'm getting upset. Like, let's work to figure this out. So I started taking like if they were upset and I was feeling myself upset, I'm like, okay, we need to rectify this. We need to right the ship. We need to get people, you know. And how am I going to do this? Is it a joke? Is it a reality check? Is it,
A distraction?
is it making fun of myself? Am I like, hey, bro, I'm having a shitty day too, man. I get it. And it's not going to feel great getting on this rower and doing a 2K. But I guarantee a little like self-reflection when you're doing it, you might come out the other end and feel a little bit better. And some people listening might be like, well, that's just learning to talk to people. But it's learning to talk to people with skills and real life situations that are happening to you. And that's part of your coaching identity. Like, you can't try and be somebody else. That's a big thing that I have been coaching coaches, not just in my gym, but online for years. Years, at least. Maybe.
At least 6.
Oh, 7?
Yeah.
7 or 8. So it's a long time that I've been having this interaction with people. Sometimes these coaches just want to talk. They want to know, like, hey, man.
Is this normal?
Is this normal? Like, you always mentioned, like, hey, at some point, someone was going to come in and, like, kind of eviscerate my community, and I'm going to be, like, left in the shambles, and I look like the bad guy. I'm like, yeah, you're going to look like the bad guy.
We call these people an emotional vampire.
Yeah, an emotional vampire. You're like, yeah. And you're like, yeah, they did it. They came in, they eviscerated the community. They probably do it at work, too. They probably do it like inside their own group of friends. You can't take it personal, dude. You got to separate and move away from it. And it's a hard thing to do. And it's easier said than done for a lot of people. It's way easier said than done. Now, how that goes back to coaching identity, the way I deal with that might not be the way one of my interns deals with it. But I can give them tools to learn how to move past a situation and keep it going. And it's funny because
much like in therapy.
I know, I was just thinking it. It's just like we didn't really say we were going to do the mental health one, but this is kind of happening with this is kind of happening with the coach's voice. It's very much so with one of my counselors I was seeing when I was going through DPT, which is dialectical. How do I say it correctly?
I think you had it. Dialectical.
Okay. Whatever.
Dialectical behavioral therapy.
Yeah.
Like cognitive behavioral therapy, but different.
Yeah, if you're being a snob out there, like you're saying it wrong, like I did it. Did you? Thanks. All right.
I worked my workbuk. Okay.
Yeah, I did the thing, but I'm not going to get into the therapy aspect of it. But everybody I worked with that was helping me with this, because I had undiagnosed for so long, so it kind of took on its own unique circumstances. They were like, we got to give you tools, and this is what I started this cast, guys, and I was saying that. Like, listen to this if you're an athlete or a coach, because you can find things in everyday life to reapply to your job, to your relationships, to do all kinds of things. And what I mean by that is, like, when they started using the terms like tools, I'm like, I work with my interns all the time, and I'm like, they need tools. You need tools to overcome a situation. You need tools to overcome the frantic 44-year-old guy that has really poor wrist mobility that's been benching forever, and he's just like getting super pissed because he can't do what you're asking him to do simply with a barbell. And the girl next to him, who has great mobility and has been CrossFitting for 2 years, is using heavier weight than him, and he's pissed. And he's like, well, CrossFit's fucking stupid. Your coaching sucks, and I don't know why you think you can tell me what to do. And it's like, you got to overcome these.
Been there.
Yeah, exactly. When the answer can't be like, oh, hey, go fuck yourself, dude.
Because you're trying to run a business.
Exactly, because it's still a business. Everybody, there's your spoiler alert too.
Best job I ever had, but still a job.
Mm-hmm. That's a good line there. There we go. But the thing behind that too is like,
that's your line. I stole it from you.
Oh, see,
shh, don't tell anyone.
I'm so smart. I forget things.
Hey Zach, what's your zip code?
Oh, dude, don't even get me going. Don't get me going.
Okay.
On the remembering numbers, so bad. But the coaching identity thing is so big. It's like, who do you want to be as a coach? And one of the biggest things, and this is not me trying to sell anybody listening into our mentor group or working with me, but I, and by proxy AJ too, because she's not a coach like me, but she has taken traits and learning and like skills and stuff that she sees that I use and made them her own. And this is like the same way I try and get coaches to actually become better coaches, is like, here are some certain skills I know that work. Take them and make them your own. Here's the blueprint. So it's really a big thing that you got to figure out, like, who you want to be as a coach. And the way I help people is like, I am not your average coach's mentor. I joke about it all the time. At some point, someone's going to tell, you know, somebody that I'm always just like, I'm the anti-Ben Bergeron. Like, I am not that guy. I am not, I'm in jeans. I'm in, I cuss.
Constantly drinking something.
Yeah, constantly drinking something on the floor. I cuss. I do look at my phone. I make jokes that I probably shouldn't sometimes.
We listened to Wu-Tang Clan today. There was a 12-year-old in the class.
And it didn't even like spark on me. And some people be like, oh yeah. And then some people be like, red flag, bad. It's just the way it is. And like things people learn from me is like things that they don't want to do in their classes. And I'm like, because I've done it all, man. I've had the big ass gym, I've had the small garage gyms, and now we own a smaller gym in South Park, and I fucking love it. It is where I'm supposed to be.
I feel like at least twice a week we turn to each other and we're like, this is the best decision we've ever made.
Yeah.
Zach said, oh yeah, he just said it into his coffee mug so you can hear him.
Yeah, because I forget sometimes.
Drinking beverages.
Exactly.
Always.
Exactly.
Sorry, Ben.
Yeah. But yeah, like, I walk like, we'll coach barefoot, we'll coach in jeans, we'll do everything. And I'm like, I tell my...
We'll finish a class and 30 seconds later start coaching another one.
Yeah. Or
like finish doing, like working out and then 30 seconds later start coaching. It's fine.
Yeah, so you're probably listening to me like, how do you crank out quality interns? You guys sound like...
You guys are a hot fucking mess.
Yeah, what is that? It's because we have a very high standard of coaching. Coaching in becoming the coach you want to be. You don't have to be the gym owner that had learned from me and then let your coaches wear jeans on the floor and have abilities to do certain things or micromanage this but not that. Like you don't have to do that, but you actually get an immersion in something else, like another world that's the same world. It's like something that Jeff says. It's super funny. Always comes. He's like, it's like exactly the same but not. Like Martin says that, and people are like, what does that even mean? What does it mean exactly the same but not? And it's true. Like it's like a bizarro world pretty much walking into this gym.
Yeah, upside down.
Yeah, upside down. Yeah, there you go. Boom. It's like you walk in here and it is a CrossFit, but it's different. It's totally different. It's not just a strength and conditioning facility. It's not just a kettlebell gym. Like you go to other gyms and you walk in, and that's what it is. And like some people walk in, like, what are you talking about? I walk in, this feels like a CrossFit. And then things start getting different, and they're like, oh, right, I am in the upside down world. Somebody wake me up. Wake me up.
Not least of all, that we will yell CrossFit at random intervals while we're training.
Yeah. But when a coach comes to me, or, we're dealing with the mentor group, and people are like wanting to know, like, how do I get better? How do I deal with this? Like, Zach, I didn't associate with a lot of the stuff you said. And then, like, something you mentioned that could happen happened to me, and I didn't know what I was supposed to do. Like, it happened. And I'm not talking like an emergency situation or anything like that. It's an emotional emergency. Like, somebody is, like, going south real quick, and it's, like, coming into the gym with them all the time. They're having something go on at home, and they need somebody. Like, they need somebody to do that. And the way that you have projected yourself in the classes, in your teaching progressions, with your voice, like, that's going to be how they associate with you. And they're going to be like, I feel like I can trust Zach. I can talk with Zach. Zach has an even keel and control in certain aspects of his life, but he does have an emotional wildness or something, whatever you want to say about it to him, that maybe he's going to understand it. And that's what I need right now. I don't need to be better at thrusters. I need somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
That's the gym business we're in. If you do want the big giant gym with 350 members and you're not in very touch with them, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And I can help with that too. If you want to know how to integrate better kettlebell program into that, you want some programming points on like how to do block training versus cycle training and how to like properly transition and deload things, I can help
or
anybody.
Or integrating 30-minute classes versus 60-minute classes. And
But we've said it before. We're like, we take good coaches and we make great coaches. Or we take new coaches and we just make them good. Like, there has to be a starting point to somewhere, and part of it is you got to figure out who you're going to be with that. As far as it was, like, AJ, where was your turning point as far as figuring out, like, where your coaching identity is? Because you just said you came down, you were green.
I had a lot of confidence. It's funny. I had a lot of confidence in the gym that I was at. I was coordinating the on-ramp program or foundations. I had a really good relationship with a lot of the members there because I had taken them or their spouse or their sister, whoever, through on-ramp. And so everyone knew me. There was a joke that I wasn't a very good morning person. And so when I was teaching 7 a.m. on-ramp, it was, just a 3-week running joke for every single group. But coming down to your gym where you taught virtually every class, you knew everyone, and you had known some of these people for 6-7 years, was super intimidating. And, bad luck, bad timing. There had been a couple dud interns right before.
Yeah, there were.
Sorry to all the Morgan Junction interns circa 2014, 2015.
There were so many of them that got fired too. They won't even know who I'm talking about. They won't even know. And they probably aren't listening to this cast. I guarantee they are. They washed out of the program. We used to joke that we'd have the wall or the door would shut and there'd be all the pictures on the wall.
The wall of shame.
Yeah. You were like, let's put. I was like,
I legit wanted to do it, and Zach was like, no. So no one really wanted to listen to me. It was probably 3. I would literally talk to someone, tell them what to do, tell them how to scale the workout, whatever, adjust the workout, and then watch them turn around and go, instead of to the kettlebell shelf or whatever, go straight over to Zach to ask him the exact same question, have him say, but there was enough times that he said the exact same thing I said, or close enough, that kind of in my 3rd, 4th month here, they started actually listening to me, and I just remember going home and be like, yes, somebody listened. It was great. And starting to build that relationship with people who had come in, like started at the gym while I was there, and so just knew me as a coach ever since they'd started, even if that time was only 3 weeks. And that really helped.
One thing I want to pause on real quick, and it's just something I want to point out for not just an aspiring coach if you're listening, but an owner or like a coach that's like mentoring other coaches in your gym because you're trying to get your staff up. If you heard what AJ just said, where she was like, it was like 3 or 4 months before anybody listened to me. In those 3 or 4 months, she probably was second guessing herself and didn't know if she liked the job.
All the time. I literally thought I was going to get fired every day.
People literally contact me constantly about, do you have any of those coaches laying around? You got any of them? You got any of them coaches? I really could use some.
Or people just asking where are all the good coaches?
Yeah, where are the good coaches? Or how can I develop my coaches the way that you're developing your coaches? Because they know a lot of the coaches that we have in our gym, we're going to release out into the wild. They're not. It's a stupid. It's a very bad
model. Oh, terrible.
Yeah, I was telling these guys in Italy when I was teaching, they were like, well, how do you do it? You make these great coaches. And I was telling them, well, we don't want to make a coach that's going to go open a gym down the street. I was like, I know, I build coaches that are going to go off and do their own thing.
It's when you train a puppy that's going to be a service dog, and then you give them to someone who's blind, who needs it.
Exactly. But the only thing before I let AJ take back over, but I want you if you're in that role of getting these people 3 or 4, you have to give them some positive feedback. You have to reinforce them that this is what I'm talking about with coaching identity. You have to be like, I get it. You're doing a good job. Just stay the course. Or you need to give them the thing it doesn't seem genuine. That's why they're not connecting with you. Your voice is not pitching correctly. You need to talk differently. You talk too loud. You talk too soft. You mumble, which is something that I do. And
you put your hands in your pockets, AJ.
Oh, well, the funniest thing was my girlfriend came and did a couple courses now with me when we were traveling, but she saw what AJ had seen multiple times, where I can, and you guys probably hear it on the cast, I can get scattered, I can get on the soapbox, I can get going, and sometimes I'll get mumbling. I do that in class a lot too. It's completely different person when I go on stage. As soon as I am teaching a course.
Zach has a persona, for sure.
I speak very well. I make sure my words are heard clearly because I want this to
You
get
have
across.
an entirely new vocabulary that I don't hear other than when you're teaching.
Yeah. But that's the thing. You have to learn how to do this and when things are out of it. And because I, to a fault, I did used to overwork, and you've helped me not work as much. in classes and stuff like that. I'm not working all the classes. It makes it easier for me to ebb and flow around so I can focus a bit more in the class, because sometimes I'd be like, yeah, I mumbled like for 2 classes straight, but I'm tired because I worked 8 classes. It doesn't really work. Even for me, I got to check that. Now, as far as like getting back to AJ's coaching identity, I wanted to freeze frame that because I thought that was so important for everybody to hear. Like,
well, and the important part too is that you had my back and you have our interns back and our coaches back, no matter what.
Well, and that's why they allow us to be tough on them, because they know we have their back, and they know I don't need to be putting that amount of time into them. Like, the return I get from these interns, the ones that are leaving, the professional interns, it's not that much. It's more time put into them. It's literally a pay it forward thing. I had to stumble through the dark for a long time, making mistakes. I had a couple good mentors that like were interspersed throughout my career.
But no one on that day to day,
No.
like I got from you.
Yeah, and there's just not enough out there. So like you can't be soft. You can't be too hard.
That's part of my job now is learning how to manage other people and trying not to do the Zach attitude era thing. I don't even know if I was here during the attitude era. I don't know if I'd classify that as attitude era. But not.
We'll do an attitude. We'll get one of the old gym people in one time, and everybody can hear how much growth I've had personally.
From 25 to 35 was a big decade for Zach. It was a big time. But to now not want to turn around and almost like, the temptation would be to almost like haze. And I can see how that becomes a thing in like frats and stuff like that, because you're kind of like, well, I had to go through it. Why are they getting an easier time than me? Which is not a work environment you want to create. But it's tempting, you know what I mean, to be like, what the fuck were you thinking? And to take a step back and be like, all right, let's talk about this.
We just had a new one start. And I've actually done some online stuff with her. So I'm already aware of her, but she hasn't been here. She was getting the online mentorship. And that's the thing I want to do. Guys, I'm actually a lot of fun to work with online. Like, I'm your buddy online. Like, you're not in the gym. You're not in the gym.
Your people. Yeah.
There's levels to this shit. There's an apprenticeship with RX, which is completely different. There's a mentorship group that I run where like everyone is learning together, and I'm just leading the damn thing. But our professional internship, you want this job. You want, and I don't mean a job with me. Like, you want to be good at coach. You want to be great. I can help you. So there will be that reality check. So I had this like background with her in this sense that she knew me. Like, I'm your buddy. How can I help you out online? Now that she's in here, she's already had a couple like, AJ look at me like, damn, harsh joke. And I was just like, because we asked her to do something. I was like, well, yeah, unless you just totally screw that up, then I'm going to have to fire you. And she kind of got wide-eyed, and AJ looked at me, and I was like, oh, AJ hasn't explained the Dread Pirate Roberts to you, has she? And it's a Princess Bride reference, if you guys don't know.
Most likely kill you in the morning.
Yeah, it's like sleep well, I'll most likely kill you in the morning. It's with the interns, it's like, most likely I'll fire you in the morning. Because I'm giving you everything I got when you're in the gym. Mm-hmm. When you're in gym, like, you have complete access to me. You work some classes, you clean a little. That's it. You get a lot of return out of it. But your coaching identity is what I'm going to hammer on the most. And like, when I come down on them, it's usually, so it never happens when it's their gym, when it's their fault. Mm-hmm. So they don't have that member that second guesses them, that tries to run like their own thing in open gym and do this stuff. And like, I get asked all the time, people are like, what am I supposed to do when this happens? And why doesn't that happen at your gym? Because we have an established culture of not doing it. It's not saying that it hasn't happened. It has happened. And man, does it suck having to like root that stuff out. It's shitty. And gyms that like turn a blind eye to it are usually just like bigger mega ones, and they're kind of like disillusioned. People have become coaches, and owners have become disillusioned, and they don't care as much. Like, this is where we want to be. You and me come in here every day. We love to be here, and we hope that infectious nature bleeds over too into when we're working with these interns and these coaches and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So coaching identity is so big. Like, I could talk about this for hours, and I feel like we've already been going for a hot second here. But we didn't, the way I'd like to wrap it up, which could still be like 5 minutes or so, is when did you find your coaching identity? I stopped you when you were like, okay, they got me. And I thought that was so big for coaches to hear. But like, when was it that you were like, okay, here I am, I'm AJ. Now they're listening to me. And they're listening to me, and now they're looking towards me. And I want them to know who I am. I am part of this. I am part of this gym. I'm part of this team. I'm part of this staff. I'm not like trying to be counter to the rest of my other coaches and set myself apart and be like better than them.
Yeah. Oh, no.
But I am a
My
unique
own.
member of
Yeah.
the team that brings not only good stuff to the clients and athletes, but is something that the rest of the team, the staff, the owner likes to be around and thrives on. Like, fucking, like, when was that time that you found it? What do you think was like your like kind of turning point or whatever? That'd be interesting to hear it.
I think there are a couple big pieces. One is that I was an athlete, and so I think that helped the most in terms of relating to the rest of the team or the other coaches, is that I could, RIP regionals, I could contribute open, not very many, let's be real, like 1 or 2 open scores towards the team so that we could hopefully qualify a team for regionals. I could be a good training partner. I could, I was progressing very quickly when I first came down because it was a totally new training style to me. And so I was PRing my lifts quite often. And so by the time I was done my first 4 months, I was lifting quite heavy, and felt like I was kind of recognized as like, oh, she's strong. She's willing to work hard. I was lucky in that I was in a city where I didn't know anyone except for the people in the gym and in my house. So it's not like I had anything kind of like drawing me away, or I didn't feel like my commitments were many. It was very a single-minded, like I show up to the gym every day. I'm there for 9 hours or so. I train, I shadow, I recover, and that's it. So that was a big help in terms of like relating with the team and the other kind of more competitive athletes at the gym. For me, I think a big thing that I've had to.
But that's like who you were. But what was your identity purpose? Like what, like that's you as a teammate. Like you're like, here I was working, I was recovering.
Yeah, but I mean that like I basically I showed you that I was willing to work hard not only as an intern but as an athlete, and I think those two went together in terms of like impressing the rest of like you and the coaching staff, and also forming a bond with like the more competitive athletes. Yeah. I think a big thing that kind of double-edged sword, like you were saying, and anyone who knows me can speak to this. I wear my emotions on my sleeve, hard. Core. If I'm having a bad day, you will know. If I'm having a good day, you will know. If I've had an extra cup of coffee, you will know. If I've had not enough sleep, you will know. You will know probably within 3 seconds of walking in the gym. So I had to lean into that a little bit and be really honest. Like a bunch of shit has happened. Like my dad passed away. There's been some issues with my grandparents being sick. I broke up with a boyfriend while I was down. Like a bunch of shit has happened while I've been down at the gym. And because you can read it all over my face and all over my actions, I just chose to be really open about it. And I think that helped some people feel like, oh, she's not just an empty-headed millennial who doesn't really have anything going on except fitness. You know what I mean? Like,
that's what I was trying to get at. If you guys go back to the beginning of this cast, AJ said I have a weird way of like reading people. AJ became vulnerable. That's what she did with her coaching identity. She opened up, and it changed everything. And I'm sitting here and I was listening to her, and she's like, hard work this, hard work that. I'm like, I get it. And I'm like, and it didn't need to be like, hey, like, my dad passed away and my grandparents are sick. Those were all like the external forces that were causing like this internal strife for you. Mm-hmm. But you just became more vulnerable as a person. You say it yourself, and this might speak to some of you, like Age is more like a shut-in. She likes to like.
Oh fuck yeah!
Introvert.
That's part of my and I think that it's not so much my coaching voice, but like my persona at work. I'm very extroverted, or I try to act it, and I'm very social, and I am a social person, But when I go home, I don't fucking want to talk to anyone. I used up all my energy and I have to recharge and sit in my bed and watch Netflix.
Exactly. But you're like, maybe it's not my coaching, but it is your coaching voice. You had to learn to temper that. You had to learn to do that. And I think that's, and you guys are like watching our like little, either you're watching this or you're listening to it, but this is what I do with coaches. Even a coach I see every single day. It's making them aware of this. Like, where can you lean into something going on in your life, a skill, or something that's hard, like something that defines you. Like for me, does BPD define me? No, but I can look back on a lot of interactions I've had in life, ways I've learned to overcome situations that were defined by that. Like that is why I had issues. And looking back on it and how I overcame it was big. And I apply that to my coaching too. Like, how can I help other people do it? Now, if you guys are listening to this, we're going to wrap this up. If you're listening to this, what I want to say is, if you're like, man, like they sound kind of harsh, they want to like, or like AJ says, like she brings her emotions into the classes and things like that. If you want mentorship, all right, go to somebody that maybe isn't like someone you respect. Okay, go to someone you respect, but don't go to someone to be them. I have never, ever wanted to be anyone else.
Well, no one's ever going to be like you. That's for damn sure.
Exactly. But I've never wanted to be anybody else. I have never been like, I wish I could be more like da-da-da or do this or that. I might use it as a phrase. Everyone's like, man, if I could be more like, my brother or something like that. But I've never, that's not knocking my brother, but I've never wanted to be anybody else. But the coaches that I've like sought out, I watch them and I learn from them. I'm like, this person is so smart and so good at blank, and they do this, which works well for them, and it looks like people like them for it, but it's not me, and I'm not going to do it. But I learned from that. Don't be afraid to go out and learn, guys. Like AJ pretty much opened up to you as I kind of like peeled it back. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Like there's so much to this game. There's way more than you guys realize, and that's why, again, when I'm saying there's a lot of coaches out there doing coaches and mentoring and things like that, I think sometimes we're missing the interpersonal thing that's important too, to realize that the coach is a person as well. Mm-hmm. And that's where you got to find your identity.
And when you can share that with your athletes, they are so much more willing to open up to you too. Like if you can initiate that vulnerability, you will get so much more back from them, both in terms of really being there, like them really being honest with you about how they're feeling, and them working harder for and around you.
It's about being genuine, guys. It's about being genuine. That is something that we help coaches with. So if you're a coach, hopefully you got something from this. If you're an accountant, maybe this hopefully help pick something up for you. If you're an athlete,
don't get in trouble with HR.
There's a lot to this, guys, and like this is literally one of my other jobs, one of my 18 jobs, is helping people with this kind of stuff. So hopefully this was like worth your time. We kind of came into it talking about something, and I think you maybe really saw how much detail is really involved in it, because I thought we were going to talk about coaching identity a little different today, and we got to the emotional contact point of it and making yourself find that person in yourself. So hopefully nobody's crying in their car. I highly doubt that. But
hey, it could happen.
Next one we do, guys.
Catch me on the wrong day. That's exactly what I'm doing.
Hopefully the next, you're like, I had so much awakening during that podcast. I'm so good. AJ's so funny.
I'm so vulnerable.
Anyways, guys, sometimes we talk about, dolphins swinging kettlebells, and sometimes we get to the nitty gritty of this whole thing, and that is the industry. So hopefully this was worth your time. And remember, when all else fails, fresh tactics.